was just reading like some news and on LinkedIn someone posted there's this guy who got laid off and then he deleted the organization's GitHub profile.
Wow, he deleted the organization he got laid off from's
Yeah,
profile.
so because he laid off for the anger, he deleted the entire GitHub account of the company, like the group. So all the projects, like everything got deleted.
Wow, I wonder how many different repos there were, or how big the code base was, and if they had it backed up. It must have been forked somewhere, right?
I mean, usually, like in GitHub, the projects are backed up when like you kind of assemble the project into like either like Docker images or like some kind of artifactory.
Yeah.
But if it's not there, then because the thing is, setting up the entire GitHub again for all the projects is a bit tiring because all the commit history and all it goes away. The project should be there, but like every track and all it messes up everything.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. That's interesting. Wow, that's a funny story. Well, it looks like they made the right decision to get rid of him then.
Or they might have been too harsh to him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't think I would do that no matter how harsh someone
Yeah,
was.
obviously I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I, that's too much. Either like if I'm like super pissed off, I might write like a long email like before leaving, but that's it. Like
I,
like
yeah.
code and all. That's too much.
What's that thing they say when you're angry to like write a letter and don't send the letter until tomorrow? Like put it in an envelope and put it in a
Yeah,
drawer and
my
then
friend, my one of my friend did that. He basically scheduled the email to get broadcasted next day.
did he stop it?
No, no, he just kept carrying on.
And he let it go through. That's funny.
Yeah, everyone like I was in the company, so like everyone got broadcasted. But like by 20 minutes, by like 30 minutes, the main team they kind of deleted that email from everyone. But by that time, a lot of people had saved that email.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So we read it later, like all the names and like all the internal politics kind of came out.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Looks like we have one new person today. What's going on? What is
Well,
your
I'm not new. I'm a regular.
what's your name again, Miss?
I think you can just call me T as in Tom or T as in Tim.
Nice to meet you, T. I'm talking about the other T though. Looks like we have a T dot dot dot. How are you?
Ooh, yeah, I see that.
Yes, Leah. Okay, cool. Welcome. I'm just going to. How you spell that? I'm just going to change it so I don't forget. Lea. Leah. Okay, cool, cool. Where are you checking in from? Sweet, sweet. Have you done any coding? Are you new to it? Where's your current level? Nice. Awesome. How was that? What did they go over? Cool, cool. Okay, nice, nice. And you just want to get some more practice, sort of thing? Awesome. Cool. Welcome, welcome. What is up, everybody else? Fernando, Tiffany, Angel, Ash. How are ya? How are ya?
Doing good today. Getting used to the season, man. Sniffle season.
I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
I love how everybody just answered at the same time. That was probably my fault. All right, everybody answer at the same time. 1, 2, 3, go. Just playing. All right. Tiffany, I'm gonna look into that payment option if you could do 3 months ahead of time. The only thing is, I know I looked into you could pay a year ahead and then it'll save some money through Patreon. But the thing about that is, I think within a couple of months you'll be ready to move up from the newbie role to the junior role, and we'll be switching from likely converting this project into React or Angular or Vue or another one of the languages, so we could see how that happens, converting a real application into one of the frameworks, starting to integrate things like TypeScript, going deeper into testing and design patterns and all that stuff. So just like the next level. So I don't know how that works if you did go ahead and pay for the year in advance. If you transition to a new membership, if I just don't know how that works. So let me find out for you and I'll get you all the information you need about that. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We'll give everyone just 2 more minutes to pop in. I know not everyone is able to make it every single night, which is totally fine. I'm going to be recording the sessions and I'm going to be adding them to a private playlist in YouTube for those who miss a night. You're going to be able to go back and watch the session. I'm also going to cut out the training I give each night because I'm going to try to do at least one solid training every single night outside of the hands-on stuff. And I'm going to make that separate from the entire session, just so you don't have to watch the whole session to find the training. Tonight we're going to start with the GitHub repo. We have the GitHub repo there. We have the design, at least a basic wireframe ready for this application. I'm going to walk everybody through just opening up your command line, navigating to the project directory where you want your project to live, pulling the project from GitHub. I'm going to invite everybody into my code editor tonight. So I'm going to use a tool called LiveShare. You don't need Visual Studio Code to hop into LiveShare. You'll be able to log in right through the browser, and then you could also sign in as a guest. So you're able to use Visual Studio Code even if you don't have it. We'll go ahead, do some coding together in there. I'm going to walk through and just sort of do an example like adding files to the project, an HTML and a JavaScript file. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a pull request. So everyone's going to be able to see, one, how you pull the project to your GitHub repo, your local repository on your own computer from the quote unquote cloud, or from our GitHub repo, the remote repository. You are going to, and then we're going to work on a little bit of code in my code editor. I'll walk you through, staging the changes, committing the changes, pushing the changes to the repo. And if you don't understand that terminology, hopefully you do by the end of the night. If not, I'll follow up with you as well. And then we'll make a pull request. So when everybody is breaking out into their own individual tasks or group tasks, then you'll know how to make the pull request and how we're working with this GitHub repo. Does anyone have any questions before we get started? What's up, Dana? I saw you pop in here. Howdy. No worries at all. I took your suggestion, so I'm going to be recording all of the sessions moving forward. I'll add them to a private YouTube playlist so the members of this bootcamp have access to the sessions that they miss. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we will get right to it. I know it's only 90 minutes, and we're always running out of time, and I'm like, there's so much more to do. So we'll get this show on the road. So, all right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this GitHub repo. It's the nonprofit navigator. I'm going to go ahead and post it right here in the Coding Bootcamp chat. So if you are new and you don't know where the chat is, we're all in the Coding Bootcamp channel. If you hover over Coding Bootcamp, you're going to see an open chat, a create invite, and an edit channel. Click on the open chat, and it'll open up the chat for this channel right here. I just went ahead and I posted it there. So feel free to click that and just have it ready on your computer for when we walk through the process of pulling this project to your computer. It's all good and ready to go. So I'll give you a minute just to do that. Let me know if you have any trouble pulling that up or finding the link. Okay. So just a
Yeah,
what's up?
sorry, that's the link. That's the link for your GitHub. Do you have a link for your live share?
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's when that's when we're gonna be doing some coding. I'll open that up in a few minutes. Okay, just to
Coding event thing keeps popping up again. How did you get it to go away last time?
oh yeah. I'll just start the event. Cool. Does that pop up on your screen too?
Yeah. I was wondering like what was why never seen it before. I just figured it'd go away.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes I forget to actually start the session. It basically just notifies everyone up at the top of the server, like, hey, live now, this is happening. Okay. So just to go over what we're doing here, we looked at two different methods of web development yesterday. One of them was pre-written HTML with display modification. So you're modifying the display class of the HTML elements. So you're basically pre-building all of the HTML, and you're just using a little bit of JavaScript, very, very simple JavaScript to show and not show certain elements. And then we also looked at rendering HTML dynamically with JavaScript. So we're going to start off just pre-coding everything in HTML with just very simple JavaScript functions so that everybody has a chance to just write a simple JavaScript function. Everybody also has an opportunity to code up some HTML. So we have our home page with just a volunteer card. We have our volunteer list with 3 different opportunities. And we have the 3 opportunities, but they're separate pages. So this main page here will be one HTML element. This list will be one HTML element, and each one of these pages will be one HTML element, basically like wrapped in a div. We'll put an ID on each one of the divs, and we'll display or hide the divs based on buttons that you click. So very, very simple in the beginning. For the list and these ones here, we'll have, based on the number of people here, probably 2 people working on each one of the larger ones, and maybe 1 person working on this one if they're comfortable with doing that. Yeah, so that's a little sneak peek there. And then we are going to make sure everybody has this project on their computers. So this is, yesterday everybody was asking like, how do I, so I wanted to really slow it down for everybody, walk through it step by step and make sure everybody has this on their computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my command line, and I'm going to navigate to the location, the directory that I want this project to live in. So for me, I'm going to go to projects, and to go to projects, to navigate from one directory to another directory, you just use CD. So if I want to go, now you can see I'm in the projects directory. If I want to go back to the gym directory, then I do CD ... That'll bring me backwards. So you can see now projects isn't there. And then if I want to see all the directories that live inside of the current directory I'm in. I do dir. I believe you could do ls as well. It gives you a different view. I like this view better, the directory view. So I use dir. Shows me all of the folders within the gym directory. I could see projects is here, so I'm going to do cd projects. I'm going to do dir again. I can see Bootcamp right here, so I'm going to go to Bootcamp and then dir again. I can see what's in here. Intro, playground, trainings. I'm going to go to intro. This is introduction to web development. And then, so this is where I ran the command we're about to run. You're going to run a certain command when you come to the directory that you want to clone the repo inside of. So here is where I ran the command. You don't actually have to create a directory specifically for the project. This command will create that directory for you. So once you navigate to the directory where you want your project to live, it could be on the desktop. It doesn't really matter where you choose. Just try to keep your projects in a central location so that you know how to get like all your projects live in the same area. It makes it a lot easier to manage down the road. Until you get really comfortable with file system navigation, that sort of thing. But does anyone have any questions on just navigating with the command line to the directory of your choice?
I am so sorry. I think I was looking at something else when you opened Node.js command prompt, so I don't even know how to get there.
Okay, do you have a Node.js command prompt? Do you have Node? I'm guessing you don't have Node, so just type in command or cmd in the search. Yeah, so it'll open up your command prompt, and then you can navigate with cd to whichever directory you want your project to live. Does anyone else have any questions on that? Is everyone able to navigate effectively? I will take that as a yes. Just let me know when you get to the directory that you want to navigate to, that you want your project to live in. Is there anyone who's not in that directory right now? Matter of fact.
So we just going to the directory on our computer.
Yeah.
We're just going through the command line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Just choose a directory where you want the project to live.
Oh, I see the Node.js command.
Anyone else not there yet? I'm going to change your name to Tiffany just so I know I'm not going to forget it, but it's nice to see people's names. Do you like Tiffany, Tiff? What do you go by?
Tiffany or Tiff is fine.
Okay, cool. Cool. Everybody else is good.
Okay, what was that command that you did that you go into the directory? So I'm on my main desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did you want us to do to like create a folder or just...
So if you're on your desktop, just to simplify things, I want you to type, look at my screen, just type make directory projects.
Okay.
mkdir projects. That'll create a projects folder on your desktop if you're already in your desktop directory, like you said. Let me know when you're good.
So wait a minute, I have to CD into my desktop.
Are you already in the desktop? I thought you said you were already on the desktop.
I'm under my username, so you see how it has C drive, then user, then Tiff.
Okay, forget about the desktop then. Just create the projects directory inside your user folder.
Oh, okay, I did it
Yeah, okay. So if you press dir, do you see the projects directory in there?
Yes, I see it right here.
All right, so just press cd projects and you should be good to go. Everybody else good? Anyone else having trouble?
Is it important that all the folders are called the same thing?
No, not at all. Yeah, good question. Cool, cool. So now the question is, we have our GitHub repo, right? We have that living in the cloud somewhere in the world. This code base is out there, and we want to bring this code base to our computer. So how do we bring this code base to our computer? We have our GitHub repository. It has code, probably a bunch of files, probably commits, you know, probably it might be bigger, it might be brand new, you never know. And so when you come to the GitHub repo, and that's why I shared the link in the chat, you should have that pulled up. You're going to see the nonprofit navigator, and you're going to see this green button here called code. Drop that down, and you're going to have an HTTPS option here, and I want you to just copy that link. And then once you have that link copied, I want you to type git clone and paste this. There might be some of you who don't have Git installed. In that case, we'll go ahead and we'll install Git. But I believe I had a video just telling.
I don't have Git.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the link. It's just a simple download. It's all automated. It's just like downloading any other program. I think you might not have been here that day when I shared the software that everybody should have set up. So that's probably my fault. I should have started recording the sessions sooner, but it's all good. So there's the link right there for Git if you don't have Git. If you're running the command and it just says like Git not found, then you don't have Git installed and you'll have to install Git. But easy download. And so for those who do have Git installed, go ahead and just run git clone and then paste the link and press enter. And you'll see the code. You'll see a couple commands being run in your command line, and that's just the command line downloading the code from the GitHub repo. Is anyone having any trouble with that? Did the command go through smoothly for everybody?
I'm having to install Git, and I forget how to check. It says 32 or 64-bit. I don't remember with this computer. Do you know how to check it, or should I keep Googling it?
It's most likely 64. How old is your computer?
Oh, 6 years.
You could go to system settings. And system type. So if you just type in system settings in the search, your device specifications will pop up.
That didn't work.
System settings?
PC name. In your search box, type in PC name.
Oh yeah, that'll pull it up too.
64.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, usually it is these days, unless you have an old computer. Cool, cool. Everybody else good though? I'm assuming you are, because Nobody's spoken up, so cool. So I'll keep going. Dana, don't worry. I'm going to move a little slow just to make sure that you're all good too. I'm going to take care of you, so don't worry. Now, how do I know which branches already exist on this repo? If we go over to the repo, you can see I'm on my main branch right now, and I have 2 branches in this repo. And so one is the main branch, one is the files branch, because I'm going to use this files branch to create the files. Like, this is the next to do. I'm also going to create just what's the feature that we're building right now? The first feature we chose. So for those who weren't here, we spent a day just creating user stories, and the feature we decided to start with was as a volunteer. I want to easily find volunteer opportunities so that I could find what services are offered. So this is the one we're starting with. And so I'm going to create a branch called volunteer search. And we'll work on this branch. So I'll create that as well. So we have our volunteer search. We have our files. I'm going to work on the files. I'll merge that with the volunteer search. But when you first pull this GitHub repo, I want you to get comfortable with git status as well. Especially in the beginning until you get really comfortable. Like, this is just something I run to see what the status is sometimes. How do we know what branches exist on this repo? And the way that we're going to find that out is you're just going to run git branch A. So I believe the A stands for all. You'll run that. And so you can see right now I'm on the files branch. So the code that you're seeing in my code editor, if I go ahead and open up my code editor, the code you're seeing in my code editor is on the files branch. I also have a main branch. So I have on my local repo, on my computer, I have a files branch and I have a main branch. These red ones are the branches that are in the GitHub repo in the cloud. So you can see in the cloud, we have our remotes, origin, head, we have our files, so the one I'm going to be working on tonight, and we have our main branch. Now you can see that I added the volunteer search branch, but it's not showing up here. Why? Because let me just do a git checkout main. So I'm switching to the main branch. You can see before I was on the files branch because there's a star here, but if I go ahead and do git branch A again, now I'm on the main branch. But we're still not seeing volunteer search. So let me go ahead and do a git pull, which is going to fetch and merge the branches from the repo to my local branch. So you can see running that git pull, now I have access to this volunteer branch. That's the only thing really that popped up. So if I run git branch A, now you can see that I can see this volunteer search branch from the remote repository. But still on my local computer, like here locally in my code base, I still only have main and files. So I'm actually going to have to do something to start working on this volunteer search branch. But let me not get ahead of myself.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
I installed Git. There was 20 different questions. I didn't know how to answer them, so I accepted defaults, finished, and it still doesn't work.
Close your command line and restart it. That should work. Restarting the command line should work. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have to add it to the path. We'll have to add the executable to the path. Is it working?
Working on it. I had to go back through and do all of the CD stuff.
I think you could just run git-v and you could see if it's working now.
It says enumerating objects.
Okay, cool. You did the git clone?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And you were in the directory that you want your project?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So now if you run dir, you should see Nonprofit Navigator. So just cd into Nonprofit Navigator. Cool. Cool. So running git branch A is just going to show you the green and the white ones are going to be the ones that are on your local repository. The red ones are the ones that are in the cloud on the remote. If you know that there's features or branches on the remote repository that you're not seeing here, you just need to do a git pull. That git pull is going to update your local repo, so you actually see the branches that are there. And once you could see the branch that's there, then you're going to be able to connect one of your branches here with the branch that you want to work on. But everyone will get hands-on experience doing that tonight, so don't worry. All right, so I want to work on a task, specifically the files task. How do I move to the files branch to begin my work? So you can see if you open up our code, we don't have any files yet. And so I'm on the main branch. I want to switch to the files branch so I could, build this quote unquote feature. So what I'm going to run is git checkout files. And you can see switch to branch files. Your branch is up to date with origin files. So that means my local files code base matches the code in GitHub, which is good. If it didn't match the code that was in GitHub, then I would have to do a git pull. So I'd pull the code from the GitHub repo so that the code from the GitHub repo is synchronized with the code on my local computer. And basically, anytime you're about to start working on a feature or anytime you're about to commit a feature, you want to do that git pull no matter what branch you're on. That's just going to minimize the chances that you have merge conflicts. It's also going to make it easier to resolve a merge conflict when they do arise. So before you start and before you commit.
Just one suggestion which I've seen. So just to avoid merge conflicts as well, always follow this particular pattern where not more than if you're working, if let's say 3 developers are working on a project, try to avoid working on same file.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if let's say you are trying to make sure that you do git pull and push, because both 2 people are working on the same file, when even you pull, you have to also make sure that your changes don't get wiped out by someone else's new changes, even if you do merge conflict. So it's a good practice to avoid working on same file if 2 developers are working.
Yeah, we're going to have, I agree with that 100%. We're definitely going to have merge conflicts because there's going to be several people working on the same file. So it's nice to see it as early as you possibly can so you could work through it and understand it, that it's something to happen. But yeah, Aditya is totally right. If you avoid working on the same file, you don't have to worry about those merge conflicts. So I want to work on that task. All I had to do was do git checkout branch name because I already had the files branch created. I also already had a reference to the files in the remote. I won't go over this because I don't want to complicate it for everybody. But all right, so I'm on the correct branch. Now what? So I can see that my branch is up to date with origin files. But do a git pull. Just get into the habit of doing the git pull to make sure that you're always up to date. And you're good to go. Everything is up to date. Now what? Now you're ready to start coding. So we code. So I'm going to go over to the code editor. I know that this branch I'm using just to add some files. So I'm going to add an index.html. I'm going to add a main.js, and I'm going to add some code here. So I'm just using, for me, there's this tool in Visual Studio Code called Emmet, where if you just type syntax, it'll give you a couple options, pre-built code. So if I type on HTML5, it just gives me like the template for most HTML documents. So the more you code, the more you'll see what the options are for that. But they have Emmet for basically like everything, JavaScript, React. It's just really good and it increases productivity. For now, I would recommend if you're new to HTML, new to JavaScript, that you just type stuff out to get the muscle memory. But that's what I did. If you're like, hey, how did all that code appear? That's how. So we have our HTML. If we go back to the Figma, we know that we're going to have our navigation, we're going to have our footer, and we are going to have our main. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do nav. I'm going to do a footer, and I'm going to do a main. So we have that. I'm thinking how much I actually want to, because I want everybody else to do it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create the divs, and then I'm going to let everybody else do the coding. So,
hey, Jim, I have a quick question.
Yes.
For the, can you go back to your Visual Studio Code real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so do you mind if we do divs? And if we do divs, can we put them before the nav or before the main or after the main? Does it matter where you put divs?
Yeah, so we're going to keep our divs inside the nav, inside the main, and inside the footer. Yeah, and the only time I really use divs is when I'm creating a component, like when I'm creating a group of elements that I want to keep together. But yeah, so it does matter. I'll get into that more though, don't worry.
Okay, cool.
So based on this, we have inside of our main, we have our volunteer search. I'll just call that like a volunteer search. So let me go ahead and just create a div with an ID of volunteer search. So we have that. We also have a volunteer list. But there is, so we have a search, we have an image, we have a header, we have a search, and we have our list. So I'm going to create, let me just call this home. I'm going to create this one as volunteer search page. And like I said, there's going to be like an image, a header, a search. So just inside of here, we'll have all of this. And then we're going to have 3 pages. So we'll just say for now, page 1, page 2, details page 1, details page 2, and details page 3. So I know I'm going to need 3. And we'll call this, oops, volunteer search details page 1.
Each div is a page.
Yes, each one of these divs is going to be a page. Eventually, we're going to convert this to being dynamically rendered with JavaScript and use an array to render all this stuff. But We'll just hard code it out so everyone could get their hands dirty tonight, and
Okay.
yeah, and kind of just understand everything. So we have our footer, and then our nav on every page is going to be home and volunteer. So we're just going to have 2 buttons. I'll let someone work on that nav though. So this should be good. We want this to be showing when we first get to the page. We want this to be, so if we do style, display, none. Each one of these is, we don't want these to be showing. But I want you guys to be able to see it as you're coding it. So we'll add this later. We'll keep everything on the page for now. All right, cool. So we have our index.html. Now let me go ahead and just say, because we're going to need a function to show this. We're going to need a function to show this, this, and this. So I'm just going to go to our JavaScript. I'm going to add some comments. So function to show home page, function to show volunteer list page, function to show volunteer details page 1, and then page 2 and page 3. And I'm going to let everybody work on one of these functions as well. So everyone will get their hands dirty with some HTML and some JavaScript tonight. All right. So that's good. That's good for me. Like, I'm like, all right, I did a little bit of work. You can see we're at this stage here where it's like time to code. I did a little bit of work. I was productive. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. It's so easy, especially in the beginning when you're working on some code, to start working on something that has nothing to do with what you're actually trying to do. And so you could see I was just supposed to add files, right? I wasn't supposed to like write any code. My task was to add files, but I wrote a little bit of code as well. And I wrote some comments in the JavaScript, which is fine. So what now? I'm done with my coding. What now? How do I let all of you guys know and gals know that I made changes to the code base? And I want you guys to be aware of these changes that I made to the code base, right? So now we're done writing code. How do I share this with the team? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stage my changes by using the git add command with the files I want to commit. So what I want to do is, let me just look at the status. So do this, because then you'll see what files have been changed, added, deleted, that sort of thing. So you could see when I run git status, index.html has been modified and main.js has been modified. But let's just say I was working on like some UI feature in the index.html, and I was working on a rendering function in the main.js that has nothing to do with the button in the index.html. How do I commit these changes in a way where I could keep them separate and keep them organized? And so if I'm using this git add, if I run git add dot, it's going to stage all of my changes. I don't want to do that. I want to keep like certain focus changes separate from the other changes that really don't have anything to do with these changes. And so I'm going to just do git add index.html. And now if I do git status, you can see that this is ready to be committed. This is not ready to be committed. These are changes I made, but I don't want to add these changes to this current commit. I just want this commit to have to do with this file. And so since I ran git add with the files I want to add to this commit, I run git commit -m, which is a tag just saying I want to add a message to this commit. It makes it easier to keep track of your commits later, because you're going to get a commit ID. Each commit is going to have a developer's name. It's going to have the date. But if you add a message, it's going to make it easy to know like what this commit actually was. So I'm just going to say HTML specific changes and boom. So files, here's the commit ID, a shortened version of it, HTML specific changes, one file changed, 40 lines of code. So boom. Now, just run status again. You can see the only file left is main.js. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just do a git push. Actually, I'll add this. Let me add now main.js. So now I want to stage this for a different commit. Git add main.js. So if I do git status, you can see now this file here is ready to be committed. Git commit -m JavaScript specific modifications. Now there's nothing to commit. I've committed all of my changes. Your branch is ahead of origin files. So what does this mean? That means that the remote repository that we pulled from in the beginning, our GitHub repository that the whole team has access to, is behind my current state. That means I'm ahead. Like I've made changes to the code that the GitHub repo doesn't see yet. And so what I have to do now is just git push. And so this is pushing my changes to the GitHub repo. So now if we go up to the GitHub repo, you can see files had a recent push, had recent pushes less than a minute ago. Still, you could see the current status of our main branch. There's nothing in there. But what if I check out volunteer search? Also, there's nothing in there. That's our feature branch. What if I check out files? Oh, okay. These are the changes I just made to files. So now everybody else who's working on files or working on this feature with me, or just working on the feature branch or looking at the code base sees like, oh, okay, Jim just pushed some code to the GitHub repo. We'll go back to main. So files had recent pushes 1 minute ago, and now the code is in the code base. Now this is something that I want you guys to be able to do sooner than later, is just create your own pull request. After you've made the changes you want to make to the code, after you've added the changes for staging, after you've committed the changes and created a commit, after you pushed your commit to the GitHub repo, it's going to be time to actually merge your files branch with the volunteer branch. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare and pull request, add a title, added index.html and main.js. I could even say add divs for homepage, volunteer list, and volunteer details pages 1, 2, and 3. I think the more details, the better, but depends on who you're working with. And then you could see up here, you want to always be careful of this, because the way I set this repo is you can't make a pull request into the main branch. You can't push directly to the main branch, but you don't want files to go directly into the main branch, because files is just one of the tasks that need to be completed for this feature. So we actually want to push this files branch into the volunteer search branch. So we want the changes that I made to this task or this to-do to go into the volunteer search feature. And the reason for that is because you don't want an unfinished feature to be pushed into the main branch. So we'll have like modify the files, add HTML, add the elements, write your JavaScript function. These are all individual tasks that we're doing for the volunteer search feature. So until we actually finish the volunteer search feature in a sufficient way where we're like, okay, all the requirements are met, it does what we want it to do, it shows what we want it to show, then and only then would we merge the volunteer search feature into the main branch. And then the main branch would be our deployment branch. So we have our files. This arrow is saying we want to merge our files into our volunteer search branch. Add some details. You could even add some labels to it. I believe you could tag the issue that was done on it, and then you could see that the changes are here. Additions are going to be green. Deletions are going to be red. So I'll go ahead and do create pull request. It's checking for ability to merge automatically. We haven't set up continuous integration. That's outside the scope of this bootcamp. But so this branch has no conflicts with the base branch. Perfect. So I will merge pull request. I could add some notes here. I could even give some feedback, you know, if it's like acceptable, but there are things you could have done better. I'll definitely leave feedback for everybody as well. And then just confirm merge. Now you're all set. The files branch could be safely deleted. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this branch in our GitHub repo. Let me go back to our main code base, code. And so you can see now we only have 2 branches. So if we look at our main branch, still there's been no modifications to our main branch. But if we look at our volunteer search branch, you can see that our volunteer search branch has the changes that I made to the files branch that I merged in with the volunteer search branch. And so everyone will be working on their own independent tasks and to-dos and merging them in, making a pull request to merge them in with our feature branch. And only when we're satisfied with our feature branch, the volunteer search branch, it matches this, the functionality is what we want it to be, then we'll merge our volunteer search branch in with our main branch. Let me think if I'm forgetting anything. Git push. Oh, last thing I want to say. If I come back to my command line, and now we could say git branch A. Let's check out our branches. I'm still on files, but this to-do is done. I don't need this to-do anymore. You know, maybe a couple weeks from now or a month, we're adding more files, or maybe something similar will come, but I want to create a new branch for that anyway. So I just don't need this files branch anymore. And so what I want to do is git checkout main. I want to move over to the main branch, do git branch A. You can see now the head is pointing to my main branch. So since I moved to my main branch, if I look at my code editor, I'm like, hey, where'd my changes go? It's because our main branch doesn't have our volunteer search code or our files code. This is the main branch. We haven't merged our feature in with our main branch yet. So if I go to my main branch, it's just not. It matches the GitHub repository, but it just hasn't been merged. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do git checkout B volunteer search, and then origin volunteer search. So basically I'm switching to a different branch. I'm creating a new branch called volunteer search, and I want it to be connected to the GitHub repo, the branch in the GitHub repo called volunteer search. So if I press enter, switch to new branch, volunteer search. Let me go ahead and get status. We're up to date. Pull open my code editor. Where's my code? I thought I just switched over to the feature branch, our volunteer search branch.
Don't you have to do a git pull to get the updated code?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Nice. I love that someone pointed that out. So cool.
Okay.
I was asking rhetorically, but you answered it. I love it. Perfect. Perfect. So now you can see it's added our index.html, our main.js, and now I have access to these changes. Now I'm also on my volunteer search. This files one I'm not going to use anymore. So I could do git branch d files. This is going to delete deleted branch files. And if I check my branches again, boom. Now I just have my main, my volunteer search. And when I select another to-do, or when I'm assigned another to-do, then what I'll do is git checkout b and create a new branch. So you can see in our GitHub repo, we still have head, files, main, and volunteer search. So that's the gist of it. Now I'm going to share the live share link. I want everyone to hop in here. We're just going to build some of this code out. So we're going to start building this website and give everyone a chance just to type a little code.
Jim, can you I didn't have access to Figma, so I have requested the access to get some email.
I just granted it to you.
Okay.
All right, let me share the live share link. So live share. All right. So for this, everybody's going to hop into my code editor and everybody's going to make changes. So before we make changes, we don't want to edit the volunteer branch directly, right? So if I'm like git branch, or let's just say git status, you could see I'm on the volunteer branch. But I don't want to edit this volunteer branch. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do git checkout, create a new branch. Let's just call this first night group collab. And then I think I could do upstream origin first night, we'll say.
I think for upstream, it's upstream. You need to type upstream.
You should just be able to do you, but let me see. So I switched to my branch. Oops. Get status, first night group collab. So I did have the specific command here. Oops. Just give me 1 second. Actually, let me share this link while I'm doing this. So this is the live share link. Feel free to click this live share link. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a pop-up on the top of your browser. It's going to ask if you want to sign in through GitHub, if you want to sign in through your browser. Just choose browser. It's honestly simpler. And then it's going to have a pop-up and ask if you want to sign in actually through GitHub or as a guest, and just sign in as a guest. It's usually simpler too. It's just going to ask you what your name is. So we use this tool for our data structure and algorithm. So you can see Angel just joined. So you can see we got Aditya in here. His pointer is here. Go ahead and type something, Aditya. So you can see. There we go. Cool. So if everyone goes ahead and like types, you could see we're all just in the same code editor working together. Yeah, I should be able to do.
Group.
Oh yeah, my bad. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. We could go ahead. Let me just break this down though. So I just want to connect this local branch to the GitHub and not even connect it. I actually just want to, because we don't have an upstream yet. So, all right, there we go. Git push, upstream, origin, first night, group, collab. There we go. And now our GitHub repo will see this branch. So if I go to my GitHub repo now, refresh this, you can see we have 3 branches now. First night, group, collab, boom. All right, cool. So
Jim, can you like paste that comment in that thing, like the where you keep tracking of the comments?
the command you're saying?
Yeah, the upstream set upstream command.
Yeah,
Like,
I actually have like I started building a document with all the different commands, and that's on there. Yeah. Yep. All right, so who wants to do what? We have our volunteer search home, we have our volunteer search page, and then we have the individual detail pages. Now the people who do the volunteer search details page 1, 2, and 3, you guys will have to be in coordination. So if we have like 2 people working on page 1 and 2 people working on page 2, you're gonna have to understand that they have to match. They have to be the same. And then, so we need 1 person for the volunteer search home. We need 2 people for the volunteer search page. And then I think 2, 2, and 2 would be cool. So we need a total of 9. How many people do we have tonight? Perfect. Okay. Who wants to work independently on just the volunteer search home? That's pretty simple.
I can try that.
Okay, cool. So you have access to the Figma as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just the home page in Figma. This one here.
Okay, so this live code, I will be able to have that. Are you gonna keep it up? You're gonna keep it online for how long? How long are you gonna keep it online for?
This live share?
Yeah.
I was just planning to keep it open until 7:30, until the session is over. But you learned enough tonight to continue working on this task independently. And if you have any questions, like even if we're not in the middle of a session, 6 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, feel free to reach out to me anytime because I'm dedicating a lot of time to this right now, and so my main priority is helping everybody learn. So feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Yeah, I'm gonna start this on my Visual Studio Code editor, if that's okay with you. Because I think 30 minutes wouldn't be enough time for me.
All right, how about
I'll just copy and paste it.
you want to just code along with everybody for now? Um, and I'm gonna do another pull request at the end of the night. That way, because I don't want to have a merge conflict with you. We're gonna have a merge conflict if you're working on some the same file as we're all working on right now, and that there's gonna be conflict. So
Like, it wouldn't be on me because it's just I'm doing the homepage, so it's just me working alone. So
it's
there's no merge conflict. I won't upload anything until I get it completed, and then I'll let you guys know. I know I won't be able to do it in 30 minutes. That's for sure.
we're all still working in the same file though. That's the thing. So
No,
ba-
what I'm saying is I'm going to do it on my own file that I have here. I have my own Visual Studio Code file, and then I'll copy and paste it from my file to your Visual Studio Share file.
oh, okay. So you could use like a live server or something like that.
Yeah, like when I'm done, I'll paste it.
Yeah. You're making sense. All right, cool.
I'll copy and paste it. Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and actually start a live server so that everybody can see in my browser what's actually being coded up. And then if you look at, I'm gonna go ahead and just run. So if you entered this code editor correctly, if you're looking at my screen right now, on the left side where the files are, we have outline, we have timeline, and we have live share. We have all the participants here, and then underneath that we have shared servers. And if you click that shared server, then this website should actually pop up on your computer as well.
I think I did something wrong because I don't see the live share.
What do you mean? Are you able to get into the code editor?
From it. Mine's DM, but I don't see.
The live server?
I don't see outline, timeline, or live share.
Outline, timeline, or live share. You're looking at my screen too. You know where they would be.
I mean, I see it in Discord, but I don't see it in live share.
Okay, sometimes that happens. That's okay. I'm gonna keep my screen open right here, anyways, so you can see on Discord the changes that you're making for now. It can anyone see this live server, or is it just Dana?
I'm editing now, but for some reason it's acting up really funky.
I'm just looking at it on the live chat. I think that's fine too.
Okay, cool.
So I'm the only person working on the homepage. So
Yeah.
I shouldn't see anybody trying to type there. I don't know why it's telling me that like a bunch of people are right there.
It might just be your computer. Sometimes it takes a second to load up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, because it looks like I think you're the only one. Actually, who's in there?
Leah, I think. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm the only person that's working on like my right. That's
Yeah.
my only task is to do the homepage.
Yep.
I guess everyone else is working with someone to do stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I do see a little glitchiness too. I'm wondering what is the best solution. This is going to be the clunkiest night for sure, just so we could get people typing out and that sort of thing. But eventually, it's going to be just one or two people working together, maybe like a team of 3 tops if it's like a really challenging task. So yeah, just do your best for now. I do see it glitching though. You're right.
I do see it on my part. I'm actually in another class, but I'm following along with you, Jim.
Okay, cool.
I had a quick question, Jem. So the div ID, I know you can make your volunteer underscore search underscore home. That whole line is an element. Are we gonna use that ID in the .js file to like? I know you said we're not using any CSS files, so I'm just guessing. I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna have to use that in the .js main.js file. Does that make sense?
You're talking about, all right, so we're looking at your feature here, the homepage feature. Yeah, so we could use just the minimum amount of CSS to like make it look like this. Like just width, height, layout, layout type stuff. Yeah, just enough. So I'll go ahead and add a styles.css too, just so people could do like the minimum amount that they need to make it look good.
And also, just so that it can be consistent throughout. The other pages can be consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Who's working on? Let me ask, because I want to make sure that everybody is able to actually code some stuff up here. So looking at the nav, I don't know who's working on the nav, but looking at the nav on the Figma file, I see 2 buttons. And since we're not actually linking out somewhere, like linking to another website, I wouldn't necessarily use the link.
You mean the link option?
Yeah.
I thought that was linking over. I could actually work with someone on that too.
I would go with, but you could do it in a couple different ways too. So let me go ahead and just say, just to make it clear, I'll start typing out some comments too. But I don't. Good. Yeah, I want everybody else to like write the code though. So a button for home and a button for volunteer. So these are just going to be buttons for now with some text inside of them. And then yeah, so we were Tanya actually said something about styling and adding to the navigation, but I mentioned to her that the navigation is outside the scope of this feature here, so we want to do our best to focus on only coding code for this feature. So as far as this nav, I'm not saying don't work on this nav, but we only want to code the bare minimum that we need to navigate. And so for here, who was working on this nav? Because I saw someone coding here. Leah?
That was me. I could work with Leah on here.
No, you're good. You could do the nav if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I added the pseudocode that we need for the nav, so you're pretty good to go now.
So just make a button for home?
Yes. A button for home and a button for volunteer. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And then, so who do we have working on the volunteer search page? So we do have our image at the top. Perfect. Yeah, we could add like maybe just some background color, like a gray with like a width of 100, just some simple styling for that. We have our H2. We have our search bar. Okay, cool. And our search bar is going to consist of our keyword, a location, and a search button. Nice. You guys are writing some good comments here too. Good job. Who's working on this one here, the volunteer search page? Angel.
So just use the button option,
Cool.
right? The button.
Yeah, button is cool for that.
Okay. So I go to W3 schools. Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually my first time working on a project where everybody's actually doing actual code together. So, W3 schools.
That's good. That's good to hear. I love it. That's where the learning takes place, you know?
I love it so far, Tim.
Yeah, good. For sure. And then volunteer search page. Who's working on the volunteer details pages?
I'm working on page 1.
Who's working on page 2?
On page 3.
Who's that?
Dana's page 3. Ash's page 2.
Ash's page 2. All right, cool.
But you said they have to be all the same, so
E-
should we be working on the first page together?
That I was just gonna say that. Good call.
I'm having an issue where every time someone types, like at the top, it scrolls down up to where they are, so I can't see what I'm working on anymore.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. It gets a little glitchy.
Could it be the browser? Is it easier? Is it less glitchy with the
I'm having that
desktop
same
version?
No, I'm having that same issue.
Okay. It might just be a.
No. What I think I can do is I can just, like I said previously, I'm just gonna work on my own VS Code, if that's okay with you, Jim, because I can't navigate through all the code, all the up and down navigation going on, and it's not letting me think straight.
Yeah. It that happens sometimes. So feel free to do that if you want to hop into your own code editor. All right, yeah. Ash and Dana, you want to work on the volunteer search details, page 1 with Aditya, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, that'll be good.
And
Cause then you'll just bust out one of these, and then you'll copy and paste it 3 times, and yeah, we'll just we'll change it enough so we can know when we're changing between these options. Yeah.
Where did 1 go? Because you deleted 1.
No, I didn't. Oh shoot, my bad. Hold on, everybody, stop typing.
It's not paying attention.
There we go. All right, go ahead. Sorry, that's one of the challenges of working with everybody, because if you delete something by accident, everybody else is still typing. So when you press Control Z to go backwards, you have to press it like 30 times because there's been like 30 other edits that happen. I know.
You deleted everything that they had already put in, though. It's all
Oh my goodness. Hold on one second.
I removed the details because like I was actually like in the impression of the search details page to be the one below the search bar, but it is like the other pages, the actual search details. So I deleted it. Let's create it again like properly.
Cool. Yeah, so
So is that okay, Jim? Like with the button, or should I do a button class?
let me see.
I got the button type. I'm going through W3 schools, and I see the button option.
Yeah, that looks good. You don't even have to add type if you don't want to. Just adding a button like this is perfectly fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like. Yeah.
How do I see the servant? Oh.
Yeah, there you go. And then Tiffany, so what we'll do is let's go ahead and go over to the styles and just do nav. Let's get a background. Let's just get a background color red, so it's like.
Oh, okay. Nice. And then should I just go ahead Do we do like font size?
Say that again.
Font size?
We could do that. We just want to see where the navigation is so we can make it like real clean up against the edge of the screen and see how big it is. We want to make sure. So font size isn't too relevant right now, but yeah, eventually we're going to have to modify all that. We just want to like see the layout of the navigation right now.
Okay.
Though there's so many errors in the code base that it's hard to save it and get the page to reload.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and
The comment showing up.
this
Somebody
is
change
fun.
the color.
I know. Angel is.
That was me. I can't stand that bright red.
Can you see it? I can't see it on my screen.
No, I don't think it's been assigned yet.
Cool, cool.
Make sure you save the file locally.
Yep. I'll give everyone just a few minutes to type out. I know we have.
Live share or live server? Okay, how do I see it live?
I'm just gonna go ahead and link this style sheet.
Okay.
CSS.
Oh, I see how you did it. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, what about the title?
Nonprofit Navigator.
Okay.
Jim, for the elements in the search details page 1, for example, let's say cause area. So all that, would it be better to have them in a single div, like create a div and within that div add the, or like just add one below the other tags?
Cause areas.
Should be just one below the other, like.
Yeah, you could put it in a div if you want. Since cause areas is gonna be, I mean, it's with something like this, it's preference. You could have like cause areas, when, where, skills, good for, and requirements all in one div, because those are like, it could be like a details component or a details div, or you could break it up one by one. It all depends on how granular you really want to make it. I know personally, I don't make it as granular until I have to, but it all comes down to like programming style. It works if you want to put cause areas in a div and just have like your own H3 or H4 with the words cause areas and then like a paragraph tag with advocacy and human rights and that sort of thing. That works too.
Got it.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll put all. I'll try to put all. I'll put all the cause areas, those terms in a single div.
Cool.
Okay, how do you go to the live server to see what everything looks like?
If you look at my screen, you'll be able to see what everything looks like. But I don't think you want to look right now. Let me go ahead and just push our nav up against. Angel's already doing it.
Okay.
He's just removing the margin and the padding from the edges. There we go.
Okay.
Nice.
Do we have to
All right, so these buttons are enough to just help us navigate.
okay.
Cool, cool.
Okay, because I have you on my phone and I have you. I'm coding on my laptop.
Yeah. You're good. We're gonna stop in just a minute, anyways. I think the way that things are going right now, my recommendation would be that we start working through these different pages one by one, like as a team, before actually handing out individual tasks. Yeah, my suggestion would be let's code out all the HTML that we're doing, like the pre-written HTML with the display control, and then when it comes time to convert the HTML into dynamic JavaScript, because we're like, we just can't manage this. We can't pre-write all the HTML. This is just way too costly, and it takes us so much time, and it's so cumbersome. Like, we're eventually going to have to transition from pre-writing the HTML into rendering JavaScript dynamically, like rendering the HTML with JavaScript dynamically. At that point, then we can start handing out tasks to individual people. That would make a little bit more sense. So we could just, tomorrow we'll come back and we'll just start from the top of the index.html file. And we'll just start chipping away one piece at a time, starting with the volunteer home and working our way down. So let me just do a little,
Okay.
so if we have our, I'll just tidy this up. Volunteer. Volunteer search home.
Hey, can you guys mute if you're not talking?
Oh, that's my bad. I'm so sorry.
Just an FYI, or not an FYI, but I have a good question. For the color schemes, I think, would it be okay to change it up here and there? Like, this is not, like, obviously the final rundown, right? We're iterating.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, these colors are not gonna, we're actually gonna spend a day like choosing a color scheme that everybody likes for the site. Yeah.
I just want to have things down.
Yeah.
It's handled through the CSS pages, though, not the individual pages, right?
For the CSS, say that again?
Isn't the color and the font and all that handled through the CSS page and not through individual sections?
Yeah.
So she shouldn't be customizing the color.
No, the only reason you'd want to add color right now is to see the layout. So you see how, like for this volunteer, you see the this div I'm working on right now, lines 18 and 20. I just wanted to like center it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to add enough style where I could center it and make it not Not perfect, but just decent looking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I
So like this volunteer button right here, you click this and it's gonna bring us to the volunteer list. So it needs to be like big enough, centered. Like obviously it's not gonna be this small either. It's gonna be wider. It's gonna have an image. Like it's gonna have way more. It's just enough styling just to make it look decent. You know. All right. All right, so it's 7:32 right now, so we'll end for the night. We'll work through. We got a decent amount done, so go ahead and just finish up whatever you're doing now, so that there's no errors. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to stage these changes. I'm gonna make the commit. And I am going to push them to the repo. That way, if anyone's like, "Hey, it's 7:30, but I actually still want to work on stuff," that's totally fine. You could work on stuff. I gave you enough information tonight for you to work on stuff, pull it to your computer, make the changes, push them back up to GitHub on the brand new branch I created tonight, not the feature branch, but the one that's like first night group branch. And yeah, if anyone makes any changes, I'll be curious to hear about them tomorrow. Or if you run into any obstacles, then I could help you through them. But I'm curious to hear how everyone's been working through it.
Navigation. Somebody's changing something on the HTML page.
I know. I was just aligning the elements to the right, the button.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right, let's go ahead. I'm gonna make the final push to the GitHub repo, I believe. That should be good. No more errors here. Alright, that should be good. No errors in the style. Cool. Alright, cool. So I'm going to go to this here. Let's end the coding because I'm going to go ahead and just say get status. You can see we've added a style.css, we've added an image.jpg, and we have modified the index.html. No one did anything with the JavaScript. I want all of you to have all of these changes, so I want you to have access to the untracked files, to the styles, and to the HTML. So I'm going to do git add, and instead of doing the files individually, I'm just going to do dot. That'll include all of them. Git status, you can see they're all ready for commit. I'm going to commit, and I'm going to say add content to HTML. And I like to be super clear. So content is like what content? Add volunteer button, volunteer list page, and volunteer details page to HTML. That's clear. And then I'm going to do git push. Boom. First night group collab. Now everybody should have access to that right there. If we go to our GitHub repo, you can see we go to our code, and if we go over to our first night group collab, we have all the updated changes.
How do we get them down onto our machine?
You are going to do, so if we go back to this diagram here, so when you're on the main branch, you could do a git pull. Git pull is going to show you all of the branches that exist on the GitHub repo, so they'll be in red. So when you do git pull from the main, you'll be able to see the
It says already up to date.
so do git branch git branch dash A.
Okay.
You see the red ones?
Yep.
Do you see first night group?
Yep.
So do git checkout. What was it? Here we go. Git checkout dash B branch name and then origin branch name. Or you could, I'm pretty sure you could just do git checkout with the branch name since you're now tracking it. So if you do git checkout first night group collab, you should switch to that branch and you should be good to go.
Error. Unknown git.
Dude.
I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, okay.
How do you copy and paste in there?
And where?
Sorry.
Never mind.
All good. All right, if you do run into any errors though, feel free to send me a message. I'm just gonna hop off because I have another event starting in about 20, so I want to be prepared for that one. We went over a lot tonight, so if you didn't get everything, if you're getting errors, that's totally fine. That's totally expected. I got errors for the first month. I still get errors, so do not.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Do you also get locked out of your own Git
Huh?
repo? Do you get locked out of your own repo sometimes?
I'm actually trying to find my password right now. Just playing.